Hi, I'm Don Fry. Welcome to the Predator series on chokes, neck locks, and cranks. Be careful when you practice these. These are highly dangerous, and you'll run out of friends if you use them too hard. What happens is you cut off the air supply or the blood supply to the brain, which will render the victim unconscious. So while you practice these, you have to be real careful. Make sure that your partner is going to tap out. Rich, Andy. Again, this is Rich Moreno, one of my sparring partners. As always, protect your sparring partner. Your sparring partner will protect you. These guys are not cheap. They don't just mass produce on trees. They're like a family to you. What I'm going to show first is the guillotine choke. Guillotine choke is a highly popular choke in the UFC. The reason why it's used a lot is because a lot of the guys will shoot in. And when they shoot in, they generally shoot in with their head to the outside, thus exposing their neck for the guillotine choke. When Rich comes in at me, his head's here. I sprawl back. First initial reaction of mine, brace him here, brace him here. This is already set up. This is good to go. The blade of my forearm is already against his neck, against the carotid artery on that side. Now what I do, shove my hand in through here, creating a little space. My hips drop back. My chest goes down on his back, thus letting him carry my weight. While he's carrying my weight, I'm also giving myself a little bit of space with my hips, shifting my point of balance again. Now what I'm going to do is lock my hands underneath here. When my hands lock up, I now pull up and I step in. When I step in, what this does is raises my center of balance. I'm raising up higher than his neck is, thus the choke's applied immediately. Be very careful with this choke. This is a dangerous choke. Not only will it choke the person out, but it can also injure the neck. Again, we're in a fighting position. He comes in. My hips come out in a sprawl situation. This hand's blocking immediately. This hand comes underneath. Now what I do is I clinch up, pulling the arm into the neck, step into it, raising my body. My hips, you see how my hips come in. My hips come in to give me more height in this move. All right, so that you can see the block that I'm talking about. The block is essentially just a block with the forearm. I'm blocking his chest coming in, the top of his chest, shoulder region. He shoots in. I block here. As you see, I'm blocking with my knee and my hip. Boom. But I'm also lowering myself down. If I stand straight up, he's going to wrap around and he's going to take me down. Also, I can't get the choke on this guy. So what happens is I come down also to prepare myself for this man. His head goes in. I'm blocking him here with this along with my thigh. Boom. Now this is already set up. This is already on the throat. Now what I do is I slide this underneath here. When I slide this underneath here, you can see how it's already applied, going across the throat region. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to secure it more with my other hand, which is an essential function in this. Because you can't just choke somebody out like this. It'd be nice, or else God wouldn't have given us two arms. Boom. We all have a certain amount of equipment on our body, and we want to use it all. As you see, the choke's applied. Boom, this gives you more power. Now, my hips are down. Now what I'm going to do, by dropping my hips back 2 inches, I'm now come up and I gain 4. I drop, come up. On this next move, this is a variation of the guillotine. Instead of going across the throat, say the man's protecting his throat, what we're going to do is move up to his face. We'll go across the cheekbone, jawbone, nose, mouth region. You can adjust this to fit your style to the point of pressure that you want to apply on this guy. What happens here, I can't get the choke. What I'm going to do now is I go against the face. Nice little face crunch. Again, same principles apply. Man shoots in, I block, I can't get the choke, he's preventing something, so I just go to his face. I just slide up 2 inches. Now you see, same arm lock. Hand locks up, I step up in, cranking up his face. I'm creating the same amount of leverage on this man. How's that feel? Tight. Shoots in, can't get the choke, slide to his face. All is not lost just because you cannot get this choke. And go just adjust this move right to the cheekbone. You crush this man's cheekbone, and I'll guarantee you he's going to wish he was asleep. Grab hold of it, boom. You're trapping. What you're trapping is trapping his whole head in between your bicep and your forearm. And now you're just going to squeeze it like a melon. Bicep traps the top of the head. You just bring your wrist right across his cheekbone. Lock up, squeeze, step in. Now this next throw here, this is going to be a throw from a neck crank position. This is a Greco-Roman throw. Greco-Roman's part of wrestling where you only use the upper body, no legs allowed. So therefore it's a throw perfect type of wrestling. This man, when this man shoots in on me, say I go for the choke, but instead of being able to get this choke, he sucks his head up underneath here. Now what I do, I grab hold of his chin. I grab his chin right here. Now what I'm going to do, I'm holding him with my belly and the chin, pulling him into me. I step in. I step in tight to this man. When I step in tight to this man, I suck my hips underneath. When I suck my hips underneath, I'm now going to throw. Now you can either release and let the man fall, or else you can follow up, come up on top of the man. This time I'm going to release and let him go. I'm here. I step in, I throw. I grab this man. What I'm going to do is I'm going to cup the chin with both hands. This hand here is a little bit of reinforcement. You see I maintain position with my belly. So what I'm doing is I'm cupping this man's head into my stomach. At the same time I'm not pulling back, but I'm stepping in. I'm creating pressure with both my hands and my stomach. I'm curling him into me. Now, when I do that, I suck my hips in, prepare for the throw. I'm here, I step in, drop. I cheat, you see my leg in there. If this is Greco-Roman, I wouldn't do that, but there's no rules in this situation. So what you want to do is you want to use everything available to you. So therefore, I use my leg to kick, get a little bit more leverage. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to throw him, but I'm going to come back on top of the man. This is a little bit more dangerous doing this because what you're going to do is you're going to be holding the head the whole time. So be careful. Make sure that yourself and your partner are completely loose and stretched before every workout. Otherwise, somebody's going to get hurt. I'm here again. Man comes in, grab his chin, suck it under. You see my little step. I just take a step. I'm taking a step outside because basically what he's doing is he's forcing his head under. So I take a step out to widen my point of balance. If I stay here and he pulls that head underneath, now I'm off balance. You'll see I come back on my heels. He can grab both my knees, suck them up, and take me down. I'm fighting him with my balance now. I step in, hips up. Now I have an armbar position. I have a punch position. I have an elbow position. I have a backhand, hammer fist position. Anything I want. Again, man shoots in, hips come out. And you see how when my hips come out, I widen my space. Now I'm stepping in, throwing him over, coming over like this. All right, this next move is a basic wrestling headlock that you learned in high school, you learned in college wrestling. Freestyle, Greco-Roman. Generally, it's done in wrestling, you wear just a singlet. In practice, you wear just a t-shirt. What's going to happen here, this man has the underhook position. This man gets the underhook. Obviously, again, I have the overhook. Why? Because my hand's over. I have head control now. You notice that when we wrestle, we stay apart. Every man has his point of balance. We want to protect ourselves. This man has the advantage because he has the underhook. But I have head control now. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to step in. When I step in, my hips move. My arm comes up. I point at the ceiling. As you see, what I'm doing is I'm turning around completely. I'm falling, my head is following my arm. I'm coming down, boom, into this position. Now, I have his arm here. What you can do from here, you can step over here. You have an arm bar. You have a punch. Or you can move his arm over here. Go for the choke here. Or you can just squeeze his face into your chest, armpit, whatever you want. Suffocate the man. You have a variety of finishing moves off this one move. But again, all your power comes from your hips. Your balance comes from your hips. Always remember that when you're standing and when you're on the ground. Your hips are the most important aspect of your fighting. Again, I'm blocking the man here. This man grabs the underhook position. I'm controlling his head now. I step in. When I step in, I'm not just stepping straight. I'm taking a side step here. I'm punching him. Sorry about that. Okay. I'm punching him with my bicep. I'm punching towards the ceiling. Now I'm going to come in tight. My hips connect against his hips for the throw. I step back. Now I can pass it. I can bring it down. I can crank up. Again, watch the footwork, watch the hip action. It's right here. Now, my hand has already secured his head by pointing up to the ceiling, being in tight. You see how tight my arm is against his head. I've got this arm here secured against my torso. Now I have a good grip against this man. If I can't throw him, I can lock up here. Maybe drop to the ground, maybe do a foot sweep, something like that. Boom. When I step into this man, what I'm going to do is I'm going to secure my whole body against his whole body. Here he's tight. He's already tight. He's already doing half the work for me. What I'm doing here is I'm locking up to his elbow. What God gave us is a great little handle with a tricep. See these guys, the great big muscles, walking around flexing their arms? That's great. What that is, that's a handle. That's like a knot on a rope. You grab hold of that. That's your brace. Now I got head control. Now you see my feet. We're leaning against each other. Now what I do is I'm going to step in, step around, stay tight. Always keep your hips tight throughout the whole move. Once I'm in here, my hips will stay against his whole body until at the point of the throw where his feet are up in the air. Now my hips come back down against his torso. Now you see the crank. Pass it here. Bring it down for the arm bar. Punches. Okay, this next move is if you purchased the clinching series, this is off the Wizard series. This is Andy Carter, my other workout partner. What happens here is we're in this clinch situation. Could happen out on the street. If I'm out on the street, this man hooks me here, I whizzer up, and we both go down. He stops, he breaks my whizzer. Now what I'm going to do at this position, I can either come here and go around the front, but to apply a little bit more pressure, I come back, I'm going to hit him with the crook of my elbow. I'm going to drive right into his face. I'm going to drive him back on top of himself. Boom. We come down. Now I've got the neck crank. Again, I can slide this underneath into the arm bar. Bam. This man won't be robbing anybody else for a while. Again, we're in this position. This man has the underhook. I go to throw the whizzer. The whizzer doesn't work properly. He breaks it. Now you see I'm up on one foot. I didn't go all the way down. Even if I do, if I react quickly, I come up. As I come up, I drive into the man. I'm going to take his face all the way back. Now you see here, like I said, he's real tight. He's snug. He's trapped in between my torso and my arm. What I can do now is crank his head up. Or I can punch him. Or I can elbow him. Or I can slide this for the break. Now I can apply some more elbows. Once this arm's gone, this man's going to be in extreme pain. He's going to be happy for me to punch him. Again, this man secures the underhook. I secure the overhook. I step in. Now, on the proper whizzer, we want a windmill. We want to go all the way through, where I come up on top. What's happening here, this man's breaking my move. He's had the whizzer applied on him before. We both go down. You see I'm up on a foot. He comes up. I attack, ripping into his face. Now I'm tight. How tight is this?
Tight.
This is extremely tight here. I maintain this. If he has a gi, I reach underneath and I grab hold of the gi. That way I am secured. Now the gi can be used. Drive his arm down. Drive his arm down as hard as possible. You don't want to take it easy, except in the workout room. Again, protect your sparring partners. When you're in competition or if you're on the street, don't take it easy on this man because this man's not going to be taking it easy on you. Drive it down, come across. Now you slide your foot down. Hook it down. Use your strength. That's what it's there for. When you're competition or you're on the street, don't pitter-patter around. It's not a game out there. Somebody's going to get hurt. It's either me or him, okay? And I hope when it comes to getting hurt, it's going to be him. But again, I'm not out to cripple anybody while I'm competing in the UFC. I'm just there just for the victory. If this is on the street, what I want to do is I want to suppress my attacker and I want to get out of there before the police come, obviously. Before this guy's attorney comes knocking on my door. All right, this next move, it's a variation of the sleeper choke. The sleeper choke's a rear naked. Boom, boom. I hook, I come in here. Generally on the rear naked choke, what I want to do, secure it tight in the crook of my elbow. This hand goes into this elbow. A lot of people, you'll see them going palm down against the man's head. I like to go palm up. It tightens the move. What it does, is gives me probably another inch of pressure against his head, sliding it forward. The hard thing about the rear naked is if you've been working out with weights, you have big arms, or you're fighting a man with a big neck. What you want to do is you want to be able to get inside of his chin. And if you have big arms and he has a big neck, it doesn't always happen. So if you're a little guy, this thing works perfectly. Again, I'm in here real nice and tight. Now I come in here. Now I go palm down. Palm down, you push his face forward, you curl up. Curl, push. Curl, push. This is the move. It doesn't just work if you just secure it here and squeeze. What you have to do is push his neck into the arm. Watch. If this man's chin is tight, I can't get this thing. What I'm going to do now, grab something. If it's competition, you can't grab the eyes. You can grab the nose. Maybe you can do a cross face. Do a wrestling cross face. It'll open this up. Now I come up underneath. Wrestling cross face is going across the face like this. In a lot of wrestling, you'll see guys, boom, punching their opponent. I don't like to do that. What I like to do, when I make a fist, a regular fist is like this. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to bring my thumb up. My thumb will now come into the crook of his jaw, right below his ear. He'll be here. I push in. I stay tight against his face. Thus moves his face across. Again, here, sliding across his face. Now you can either go against the lips or the nose. You come in here, pull that face up, sink this choke. Again, this is tight. This is tight. I want to feel his carotid arteries with my bicep and the blade of my forearm. Now I bring this hand over top, secure it. Now I'm going to fold my hand. Like I say, I'm pushing against the back of the man's head. Okay, now this next move is a variation of that, except you're using a judo gi. This is called the hangman's choke. If I'm behind the man and I can't get that rear naked, I really don't need it because I have his gi. I grab hold of his gi, pull it out, feed this in as tight as possible. The more you sink your hand, the tighter this choke's going to be. I open up his lapel, reach across, grab hold of it. Now I'm going to come up underneath of his arm. Reach for the other lapel. I will pull this one this way and pull this one down. It's applied instantaneously. Again, you can do it out on the street if the man has a jacket on. Grab hold of it, open it up to feed this hand. This hand is now all the way up at the ear. Sometimes they're behind the ear. Open up, feed tight. See how tight my arms are. Now come up underneath the arm. Grab this. This comes down. This comes across. What we're doing now is we're using the gi against the man. We're getting complete leverage. This one's going down, this one's going across. Feed, down, over. Feed, down, over. Or you can come from here, open it up, feed, grab hold. Over, down. Very simple, very effective. All right, this next move is a judo move, and it's called a staller's choke. Man's on his hands and knees, or flat on his belly. What you're going to do, you secure the man. Again, you have hip control over this man. My hips are keeping his hips down. You see how he's carrying my weight. My forearm's on the back of his neck. here, or across the shoulder blades. What I'm going to do now is, again, I'm going to reach underneath the man's arm. When I reach underneath the man's arm, I grab hold of the opposite lapel. It's this side over here. When I grab hold of it, what I'm going to do now is slide my elbow down against his ear. I'm going to sit out, apply the choke. I'll pull in as I push out. Now, the thing about chokes is it takes 3 seconds for these things to come into effect. It'll cut the blood supply off to the brain. Boom. They're going to be taking a nap. Now you want to make sure that they don't go incontinent all over the place. If they do, you want to make sure you're clear of the area. Again, my hips are on top of this man's hips. I'm securing him. I'm working his head. I'm distracting him. He doesn't know what's coming. Now I reach underneath, grab hold of his collar. Slide down here, sit out, apply. Very quick. Again, secure the man's hips. Distracting. Make him think that you're going for a punch. Now, hit here, cross over here. You see my hand come up underneath. I grab the lapel. Now I slide this over. Now my hips are coming over, sitting, squeezing. Notice that when I do this, I'm not grabbing here, I'm not hitting here, I'm not extending my arm. Never extend your arm in any position. You want to always keep your arm bent to protect yourself against arm bars. Boom, distract this man, come up underneath, grab, work here, sit out. When I sit out, you see my arm is bent. Again, if it goes straight, I'm going to be in trouble. So I keep it bent. This is where the power comes from. Now I'm pulling across in that direction with my left arm as I'm pushing across this direction with my right arm. It's applying the choke. Real fast. Work. Grab, block, sit, apply. Lean into the man. Use your whole body. Don't just use your arm. You want to lean, you want to push your feet, you want to use your whole body against this man. This here, you've got the pressure of his body coming up to stop you this way. So you want to use your body going that way. That way you have the amount of force from 2 bodies against one little tiny neck. Now, I'm up here, I reach underneath, I slide down. Now watch my feet. This one comes up. This one's just a basic wrestling sit-through. If you notice, I'm not going completely to my back, I'm not looking down. I'm not staying on my stomach. If I stay on my stomach, the choke does not work. What I have to do is turn my hips. This one goes towards the ceiling. When this goes towards the ceiling, this one slides through like this. Now, I'm going to my rear. You see, I'm not going completely straight up because the man's neck won't allow that. If it would, well then you're not going to be able to apply a choke on a man like that. His name's Gumby. You go right here, boom. You notice the elbow and the knee work in conjunction with each other at the same time. Your chokes aren't just regulated just to your hands, just to your arms. Your chokes are a full body movement. Again, I'm holding the man down with my hips, with my upper body. I distract him. I come underneath here. I grab the collar. Now you see this leg comes up. Here comes the sit-through. Boom. This slides down. Now, this left part of my whole body is going to go in that direction there, where my right body goes in that direction there. Real fast. Work. Grab, block, sit, apply. Real fast. Work. Grab, block, sit, apply. This next choke is from the side mount position. I'm over here. I've cleared this man's guard. Now I'm in this position here. Either hit with the elbows, here, attack with the knees. This man has flushed me down. I'm now out of his arm area. He's holding me down here. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to let him carry my weight. I'm going to drop down on top of him. I'll be off my knees on my toes. I slide down. I let him carry the brunt of my weight. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my left arm, which is my opposite arm across the body. Come underneath this man. Now you'll see my hand is beyond his head. I just don't come here and stop at the head. It doesn't work. It's not tight against the man's neck. I go beyond the man's neck. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to grab hold of my own bicep. When I do grab hold of my own bicep, I'm coming underneath his chin. Now, I grab hold of my bicep underneath his chin. Now I take my elbow down against his throat. What this does is you're cutting off the carotid artery on his right side and his left side. Again, he's carrying my weight. Apply a little pressure, grab hold of his shoulder, apply a little pressure on his neck. Slide this underneath. Now, come back to my bicep, underneath of his chin. I'm not way up here. Grab hold of my shoulder. I'm not way up here. If my bicep's way up here, you just go down tight. Make sure you can grab the elbow, whatever works for you, your forearm, however it works. Get it tight, just like choking up on a baseball bat. Now, once I'm underneath his chin, I drive my elbow down towards the mat. Applied like that. Again, this man doesn't work if I'm up here floating around. This man has to carry my weight. This man has to fight both himself and myself. Boom, I'm down here. I'm distracting him, making him think this. I slide this underneath. Now this is here. You just apply, you squeeze them together. Okay, for this next one, what we're going to do is we're going to do a simple neck crank. We're in the man's guard. This man's keeping us tight. We're going to reach down with both hands. Again, I'm protecting myself by keeping my arms bent. I'm leaning into this man. I'm letting him carry my weight. My arms are bent. Now I hook underneath of his head. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my whole arm as leverage. I'm going to pull up on his head and I'm going to push in with my elbows. Pull up on his head, push into his torso with my elbows, just like this. I'm here. Now, you see how quickly it's applied, how vicious it is. It doesn't require a whole large amount of space. We're here on this guy. I work in tight. Boom. If you want, then you can apply a couple of headbutts to loosen the man's head up. Bam, bam, crank. You'll see the whole man's body curl up towards you, because the body follows the head. And on this, the head can only go so far. Head will meet the chest, and the head stops. If the man's stupid enough to allow you to continue to crank, well, then it's his problem. He's going to go home with a sore neck. Again, slide up, slide up. I maintain control of his hips with my hips. Never let the man's hips get away from you. That's how the bottom man will apply his choke or his arm bar. Always maintain control of the hips. Now my arms come down tight. I loosen him up with a headbutt. I come up deep. I lock one hand underneath the other. Or you can lock your hands up like this. Either way, whatever's comfortable for you. You want to get a tight grip. You can't just grab hold the side of his head and expect it to work. Your hands will slide off. You come in deep. Now, you use his body with your arms to apply the pressure. You curl him up against his own body. See how I'm maintaining control of the hips. Never forget the man's hips. As I maintain control of his hips, I pull in. All right, now this next neck crank is a very simple neck crank. If I'm on top of this man in this guard, I can't maintain this. Sometimes people's hands will slide underneath. My hand slides underneath. You notice that it doesn't go flat. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go thumb up. The reason I go thumb up, because when I'm down flat, I have this much. I come up, I gain another inch, inch and a half of arm to crank against the back of his neck. Now what I'm going to do, if I'm down here, I'm going to apply my head right into his chin. Drive forward. I'll come up off my knees, onto my toes, curling up underneath, popping my head. What that feels like is that your head's going to pop off against the wall over there. You guys are around here fighting, your hand slips underneath, slide down, step in. All you really have to do, if you're strong enough, is grab your thumb if necessary. Or you can lock up however you need it, whatever kind of grip you want. Just make sure that your thumb is up in the air to gain that extra inch, inch and a half of bone against the back of the man's neck. I'm here, my head's in his chest, my head slides. Keep your head tight. Keep your whole body tight against the man. You don't want to come here, move up, and then try and work it. It doesn't work. You're here, you slide up into the man's throat. Now what I'm doing is I'm pulling down. His hands are pulling down, his shoulders into me. As I pull him into me, I'm also pushing his head away from me. How's that feel?
Gone.
That'll work immediately. All right, this next one's a leg choke. If I'm up here on top of this guy, what I can do is use this man's gi against him in my favor. I pull up, I step over. As I step over, I tighten up. I'm just not just stepping down, I'm stepping up. I'm going to try and lock my leg in behind my leg. When I do that, I roll, secure the arm, squeeze the legs, applying the choke. Again, I'm on top of the man. I'm letting the man carry my weight. I am pinned tight against his body with my knee. I'm not out here going to try and run up, get this choke like this. This is not Hollywood. It doesn't work that way. I want to maintain control of this man. I'm letting this man carry my elbow. This elbow is down here. My knee's in his ribs, my elbow's in his back. I give him something to think about. I'll switch feet, jerk him up, step over. Again, I'm maintaining. Both my knees are against this man at this point. Maintaining this man, securing him, driving him, steering him around like a steering wheel. Now I'm going to step across his face, step up. I'm going to curl, kick him into his chest. I can grab hold of his arm, or I can just roll, grabbing him there. Now what you see, I pull his arm up to ever tighten the move. If you can reach and grab your foot, you can pull your foot up. Now, my feet are now coming in this direction towards me. I'm curling this one in against his throat. I'm pulling this one in to tighten it, kicking this up against his body. My hips are crushing down. So therefore, my legs are coming in, my hips are going down. I'm applying a ton of pressure against this man's throat. You can do it just by flexing your calf. Now, grab hold of the man's arm or gi, straighten him out even more. What you're doing now, you're stretching the man's torso. You stretch the man's torso, you open his throat up that much more. Boom, stretch it, open the throat, squeeze, chokes applied tight. Again, grabbing hold of the man. I'm steering the man around. I'm tight. My knees are tight against this man. I'm pulling the man tight. Step over tight. As I step tight, Now you can sit down on the man. Let the man carry your weight. Or you stay in tight, get it a kick. Now, what I'm doing here is I got him secured pretty good here. Now I'm going to roll in that direction there. When I roll, my feet are going to come in the opposite direction. I'm just not going to jump down and stay there. What I want is for both of us to end up pointing towards the sky. I'm here. This tightens it. Stretch the torso. Curl this leg in. Curl the choke leg with your free leg. This applies the choke even tighter. What you're doing, again, you're bringing your legs in. You're sitting down on the guy with your hips. You're going to crunch him. Grab hold of this. This stretches the torso. This opens up the man's throat. That way when you apply, the choke goes that much more tighter. This thigh up here is against his carotid artery here. This arm here, the man's own arm, is against his other carotid artery. What you're doing is you're squeezing it together. You're going to go like this if you want, or like this if you want. All the pressure is caused by the man's own arm and by your thigh. The more you pull this arm, the tighter it gets. All right, now if somebody applies a choke on you, there are some defensive that you can apply to protect yourself from being choked. Andy will come in and I'll try to apply the guillotine. What Andy's going to do, again, is hand control. You have to have hand control of the man applying the choke in order to break it. Andy comes in, I go to apply the choke. Andy grabs my hands, starts peeling away. Also what he can do, if I have it in, he can get this arm in here to break it. Boom, peels it away again. What you have to do is allow amount of separation from his hands and your throat. What you want to do is make sure your arm can get in there, start pushing against it. Don't get it in there tight to where it works against you. But you want to get it in there to where you can use it to allow enough leverage. Again, I'm here. Andy grabs hold of the wrist, starts peeling away. This hand here is on top of my arm to push down as he grabs hold of this arm here. Pushes down and peels away. Again, go down now. Here in this position, the easiest and fastest way is to keep your chin tucked. If the man's chin is tucked, I can't get it in. If I go to do something to pull it up, now he has to grab hold hand control. As I'm pulling this up here, I've left one hand exposed for both of his hands. I can pull on his face all day long if I want. What he wants to do is make sure that I don't get enough space in here to allow for this choke. He wants to maintain control of this. Now what he can do, rotate my wrist and get an arm bar on me. There's a very effective counter to the choke right away. I'm here, I'm trying to fight in. He grabs hold, rotates my wrist. Now we have an arm bar. What he would do then, he would pop his hips out, straightening up his body, working against it. Again, with the gi, I go to grab the gi. He's going to grab his own gi. He's going to peel it off. He's going to look into the choke. You don't want to look away from the choke. Same thing with an arm bar. You don't want to look away. Once you look away, it's applied. I'm here, I'm fighting hand control. You see how fast his hands go for hand control? He peels it away. Best defense against a choke is a hand control on the opponent. That concludes the Predator headlocks, neck cranks, and chokes. A lot of the UFC fights, reality fights, end in a choke. Also on the street, most street thugs are not trained to protect their throat against a choke. It's easy to apply, it's applied quickly and efficiently. It will get the situation done and you can get out of there. As always, protect your sparring partner. Your sparring partner will protect you. Good luck and train hard.